Welcome to this free music reading beginners course. During this 1-hour tutorial, you will be learning all the fundamentals of reading music. If you would like to learn everything about this skill and read music like a pro, head to skillademia.com and get access to the full course. Now, let's begin.
Hey, how are you guys and gals, and welcome to this music reading course. So, I know music reading can seem very complicated at first and can sound like something that sounds like kind of dense to look at, but we're going to break it down so you can easily understand a staff and start playing some music just by looking at it and understanding how the notes are played, what a chord is, and we're going to be learning a little bit about music theory as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to be learning in this course, okay? So first of all, we're going to be talking about a basic music score, piano basics. We're going to check out some major and minor scales because this is going to be very important for you to understand signatures and staff symbols and all these things. Very important for you to know major and minor scales. We're also going to be exercising a little bit of our rhythmic reading as well, because that's going to be very important for us to understand how we're going to play what we're seeing on the staff. We're also going to be learning a lot of staff symbols and language because, there are a bunch of symbols, and when you look at those, you're kind of, whoa, what the heck is this? But it's not so complicated once you look at it, okay? We're also going to be talking a little bit about finger dexterity, and we're going to read some example songs from sheet music so you can understand what's going on in these songs and in these staffs when you look at them. Okay, so let's get started. Let's check out this basic staff. Let's read a little bit so we can understand what we're diving into. Okay, so we're going to dive into the specifics of these symbols in a little bit of a while. But first, I'm going to show you a little bit of what's going on in this part of the staff. Okay, we're checking out a grand staff here. Grand staff means that we've got a bass clef and a treble clef. And those little numbers you see up and down are the numbers of the fingers we're supposed to use. Okay? And this is called a grand staff because it's designed for us to use our left and our right hand. That's why there's two staffs right there. And we've got two clefs because of that reason. We're going to be diving into those specifics in a little while. Okay, so let's check out these first 4 bars, and let's check out which fingers we have to use and which notes we're going to play. Okay, so first I'm going to play a C on the treble clef. Here we got it, right? And on the bass clef, I'm going to play an E, and I'm going to use my second finger. Okay, so 1, 2, right? And first finger on my right hand, and second finger on my left hand. Okay, so that would be my first bar. Then let's check out the second bar. I'm supposed to use my 5th finger and 4th finger to go back. So I'm supposed to do an F, use my first finger on my left hand, and that would be the second bar. Okay, so it's just for you to get started and start understanding. We read staffs from left to right as well as normal reading. Okay? And that's what I just said. But remember, this is a longer staff. This is Ode to Joy. And if you check it out, we always read left to right, and we have to go back to the left when we go to the next staff, okay? Now let's check out the notes on the piano, okay? We see a lot of keys on our piano. This is a 49 key keyboard. So basically I've got all my keys here with the names of each note, so it can be a little bit more easy for you to understand. And this is the 12-note system of Occidental music, and it's been used for centuries, and we're going to keep using that one, because if not, we're going to go crazy, and we're not going to understand ourselves with other human beings that play music as well, right? So basically, here we've got an octave from this C to this C. here we've got another octave from this C to this C. So this being a 49 key keyboard, it's got 1 octave, 2 octaves, 3 octaves, 4 octaves. 88 key keyboards have more octaves, okay? So here you can check out that I've got my bass clef from this C until this B, right? And here is where my treble clef begins, okay? Here begins C, and here treble clef and treble clef. And that's why I've got a bass clef, this part of the keyboard, and my treble clef on this part of the keyboard, right? So here I've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That is an octave. And here we can check out all my notes, and here I've got my semitones, which are those black keys I've got right here. They're all labeled. Cool. Now let's talk a little bit about the staff and how this system is built. And basically the staff is built with lines and spaces, and we're going to use lines and spaces in the bass and in the treble clef. And we're going to have some lines and some spaces we're going to be using to put our notes on. And that's basically it. And these are the notes that are in those lines and those spaces. Okay? So here you've got in the lines, in the treble clef, we've got E on our first line, C on our first imaginary line. You can see it right here, but we're going to dive into that a little bit more specifically later. We've got C, we've got E on a line, G on a line, and B on a line, and D on a line, and F on a line, and A on a line. And then again, C on another line. Okay, so that's basically the notes that are on lines. And here is a mnemotechnic key that you can use to remember which notes are on lines, okay? In the treble clef or G clef. Okay, this is called the G clef because as you can see, this little beginning of this clef, the way we write it on a pencil, begins on the second line, right? Since we've start our clef right here on the second line, that means that the second line is going to be indeed G. Okay? So that's going to be our G note. And that's how it's organized, and that's why it's called the G or treble clef. Okay, so we've got E, we've got G, we've got B, we've got D, we've got F. Okay? And here's a key so you can remember every good boy does fine. So if you're a good boy, you're going to remember this way. Okay? So every good boy does fine. And those are the notes that are on the lines. Okay? Now let's check out which notes are on the spaces. All right? So on the first space right here, we've got F, then we've got A, we've got C, we've got E, we've got G on the next space. So remember, basically we've got a face, F-A-C-E. Right? On our spaces on the treble clef. Cool. So this is all about the treble clef. Now we're going to check out the bass clef and how this bass clef works. This is also called the F clef because as you can see, if I were to write this clef, I would start on the second line of the pentagram I've got right here. So this means that F is going to be this second line. Here you have it, right? So here, the organization of the notes is going to be a little bit different. So if you check it out on our first line, we've got G. Second line, we've got B. Third line, we've got D. Fourth line, we've got F. And fifth line, we've got A. Okay, maybe some cows eat a little bit different food, but most cows eat grass. All of them eat grass, okay? Remember that. So now we're going to check out how that looks on the piano. The combination of the treble and the bass clef, and this is why it's called the grand staff, because the grand staff includes all the notes in the piano, okay? And this is very important for you to understand, right? So in my bass clef, I'm going to start with G right here in the first line. Then I've got A, then I've got B, I've got C, then I've got D, then I've got E again, F, G, A, B, and this middle C note you've got right here is basically shared between the bass and the treble clef. So, this C note you see right here, you can also paint it right here in the first imaginary line in the bass clef as well. It's exactly the same middle C, right? So this middle C is shared between the bass and the treble clef. If you find it on the treble clef, it means you're supposed to play it with your right hand. If you find it in the bass clef, you're supposed to play it with your left hand, because then you're probably playing another note with your right hand on the treble clef. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a practice exercise so we can understand clefs. So I'm going to invite you guys to do this exercise. You're going to have this PDF so you yourselves can do the exercise and understand a little bit about how these clefs work. Okay? So basically, I want you to write at least 8 clef symbols right here. We're going to check out a little bit more about those clefs and different clefs we have, because there are a ton of symbols that we can use for clefs depending on the instrument we're going to play. Okay, so I want you to write for each clef the names of the lines in your staff and the names of the spaces in your staff. Okay? And I also want you to write the 3 ledger lines below and ledger lines above the staff. Those imaginary lines I was talking to you about, I want you to put the names of the lines and the spaces below and above. Okay? So the next one is you're going to basically write any clef symbol you want here, and I want you to write down the name of each one of these notes depending on the clef symbol you wrote. Okay? And again, here you're going to write a clef symbol at the beginning of the line, and then you're going to write a note in the staff for each letter below the staff. So C on any octave, G on any octave, F, D, E, A, and B on any octave of the staff, depending on the clef you wrote. Cool. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about pitch. Since we already understand that in time we're going to read from left to right, so basically the pitch means how low or how high a note sounds. Okay, pitch depends on the frequency of the sound we're going to have. Frequency is basically time of oscillation of a wave, and that is directly related to musical notes. So this is a lower frequency, this is a higher frequency, higher frequency, higher frequency, higher frequency. And that is what pitch is all about, okay? It's all about frequency and sound and how it feels to your ears as well, okay? But since we're musicians, we don't want to talk about wavelengths and frequencies. We want to talk about notes, and that's why we give them names. Okay, we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Well, here's a curious information. In the olden days, most songs were written indeed in the key of A. And that is why A is our first letter. Okay, most American songs were written in the key of A, as well as English songs, okay? So that means we've got 8 natural notes. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Okay, those are our 7 natural notes, and we've got the octave of our C. Another octave, another octave, another octave. Basically, we have this C is higher pitched than this one. This D is higher pitched than this one. This E is higher pitched than this one, as well as this F. Cool. I think we're clear with that. Okay, but also in Western music, we have 12 notes we can work with. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 notes, including these non-natural notes. Okay, so how do we name these non-natural notes or altered notes? Okay, we can always use, we've got two symbols we can use for this, which are sharps and flats, which basically means that the distances are going to be different, right? Because between C and D, for example, we got a full step. But between C and C sharp, we've got half a step. As well as between E and F, there's a half step. And between B and C, there's a half a step as well. And that's why there's no black key in the middle of those two notes. Nor here, nor here, nor here. Okay? And that's why we use sharps and flats. We've got them right here. So this note has two names. It can be called C sharp because it's half a step up from C, or it can be called D flat because it's half a step down from D. But we're going to dive into that a little bit later. So what are those sharps and flats all about? Okay? So basically, we're going to call them by their name of their neighboring notes. And that's what it's all about. As I told you, here we've got, for example, F. We've got a neighbor that's half a step higher, which is F sharp. Here I've got G, and I've got a neighbor which is half a step lower, which is G flat. So this is the same note, but it has two names, depending on how I look at it. You know, it's like life. I can see the glass half full or half empty. Half full, F sharp, half empty, G flat, right? It's the same glass, has the same amount of water, same note, two different names, okay? So we're going to check out when to use sharps and flats when we start checking out major and minor scales. And we're going to understand a little bit more about what this means. Okay, so this is going to help us understand what key a song is in. Okay, and we're going to be talking about keys when we learn major and minor scales. Okay, so basically these notes right here are called enharmonics because they have two names. Okay, so basically F sharp or G flat means that G flat is the enharmonic of F sharp, right? Or for example, I can even have an enharmonic here between E and F. F can be E sharp. Or E can be F flat. That's not going to be used a lot, but there are a couple of cases where we are going to need it. When we check out major and minor scales, you're going to see a couple of cases where it's absolutely important for you to use that E sharp or that F flat. Okay, you're normally not going to need them, but it's good for you to know that we are going to use those sometimes, but the most important ones are right here. F sharp, G flat, C sharp, D flat, D sharp, E flat, F sharp, G flat, G sharp, A flat, and A sharp, B flat. Okay? Okay, so let's give a little bit of examples of alterations. Okay, so here we've got, for example, let's check out this octave from this C to this C until middle C. So basically here I've got a whole step between C and D, whole step between D and E, half step between E and F, whole step between F and G, whole step between G and A, whole step between A and B, and half a step between B and C, right? In the natural notes, these are the only two notes that have a half step between them, which are E and F and B and C, okay? Remember that, and if you want half step between C, a half step above C. It's called C sharp or D flat. Okay, so let's check out some examples of these alterations. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of an example here we're going to go from C to E using sharps. So basically I've got C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. Okay? That would be an example using sharps. Now let's check it out using flats between C and E. So basically I'm going to do E, we're going to do E flat, D, D flat, and C. And I'm doing exactly the same notes. So it's going to be C, D flat, D, E flat, E, and harmonics. Okay? Okay, there's another symbol that talks about alterations, which is called naturals. Okay, naturals basically means that you're going to forget about the alteration that is on the key, or you want to forget of the alteration that was before. So this would be a natural D, natural E. Okay, so let's check this example. So I've got C, D flat, D natural, E flat, and E natural. Basically, when I use that natural symbol, it means that I'm going to play the natural note, okay? Just that you don't get confused.
Hi again! Congrats on getting this far! I hope you're enjoying this tutorial and already starting to see some great results. If you want to get access to the extended version of the course, head to skillademia.com, where you will find the full Beginner to Advanced Reading Music course, with more than 20 lectures and many more tricks to learn. Now, let's continue.
Okay, now let's check out a little bit more about what's going on in a staff. Okay, in the staff we've got different symbols we're going to be checking out, and in this session we're going to be talking a lot about all the symbols that we have on a staff, okay? So this is called basically a quarter note. Here we've got basically just quarter notes over here and an eighth note. We're going to be checking about what that means in a little bit. But here we've got some stems. These little lines that go alongside this blob basically can point up or down, but it's all to make it easier to read. Okay, so check it out. These blobs over here have the stem pointing upward because they're on the lower part of the staff. Same over here. This C actually needs to have the stem pointing down because it's in the upper part of the staff, the same as these over here. Okay? These are called flags that come from the stem, and they're going to indicate the duration of that note. Okay? We're going to be talking about those durations in a while. Okay, here we have some note values. We're going to start talking a little bit about rhythm. So, we're going to check out some basics about the note values over here. So I'm going to put a metronome, and I'm going to show you how these basic note values sound, okay? So right here we've got quarter notes, which are the most simple of all our values, because most of the time on normal tempos, they follow the metronome. Let's check it out. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to use these notes with my mouth as da, 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 da. This is how quarter notes sound. And these half notes are just going to sound on the first and third beat of the metronome. So they're a little bit longer, okay? So basically one half note lasts 2 quarter notes. So 2, 3, da, 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 da. Here we've got a whole note which lasts 4 quarter notes. 2, 3, and da, da. It all has to do with the duration of the notes, okay? So we also have some notes, and we've got some ties right here. these ties are very cool because they let me combine note durations, okay? And I've also have these little dots, which basically symbolize that I'm going to add to this duration the half of the previous value, okay? So if I've got here this half note, basically I'm going to add a quarter note to that duration. Or it would be exactly the same to tie a quarter note to a fourth note, a quarter note to a half note. And I can tie them, and they're basically one long note, okay? They hold themselves between measures. And that basically is when I've got a different bar, when I'm going to a different bar and I want the note to continue on the following bar, I'm going to use a tie. Okay? That's what ties are for. Okay, so let's check out some more note values. Okay, so as I told you, we've got those quarter notes, which we already heard, but we also have these eighth notes, which have one flag, and they are basically, you've got 2 eighth notes per each quarter note. And you've also got 16th notes, which you've got 4 16th notes for each quarter note. Okay, let's see how that sounds. So again, quarter notes, da 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 da. Now let's check out eighth notes, da 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 da. So we've got 2 eighth notes per each beat. So let's check out 16th notes. So that would be 4 16th notes per each quarter note. Okay? And sometimes when here, these flags are used in this way when we've got that note alone and we've got that eighth note besides a quarter note or besides a half note or a whole note, or that 16th note next to an eighth note or a quarter note. But when I've got a group of notes that are all in eighth notes or 16th notes, I can use beaming. Okay, so this is how you beam. This is how you beam eighth notes right here. And this is how you beam 16th notes, okay? So basically eighth notes just have one beam, which symbolizes that flag, but when we've got groups of notes, and basically we've got 2 beams in these types of 16th notes when we've got a group of 16th notes. Great. Okay, let's check out this small exercise so we can understand a little bit about these basic figures. Okay, so let's check out here how these notes are going to work. So in this beat, see here I've got with my right hand I'm going to do all these beats, and with my left hand I'm going to use all these beats. So 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Now I'm going to use my right hand. I'm going to start with half notes, and I'm going to remain on whole notes on my left hand. 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4. Okay, now my right hand is going to go to fourth notes right here. 1 2 3 4 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Now my right hand is going to move to eighth notes. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Okay, now I'm going to do it backwards, and I invite you guys to do this exercise as well. It's pretty simple, and it's going to help your coordination between your left and right hand. Okay, let's go again. 2 3 4. Now our left hand is going to go to change our figure. Okay, let's go, and 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be a great exercise, and then you can start mixing up your left and your right hand, and it's going to help you a lot with your coordination. Cool. Let's continue. Okay, let's take ourselves a little bit of a breather. Nah, not really. We're going to just go on. We're going to take a little bit of a rest, and we're going to talk a little bit about rests and about silences, because silence is a very important part of music, and silences are very important. Okay, so we have a type of rest value for every note value we have. Okay, so if this is a whole note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I also have a whole rest that sounds like this. Okay, we've got 4 beats of no sound, of no playing. We also have a half rest, which has this little symbol over here, where we basically don't play anything for half a note, for 2 beats. Then we've got a quarter rests, which is a quarter note without any sound, which is this symbol over here. Then we've got an 8th note rest right here, which also has one little flag, right? And a 16th note rest, which has 2 little flags over here. So it's basically very easy for you to remember these rest values, okay? We are going to be doing some rhythmic exercises a little bit further, but it's important for me that you guys understand the symbols before we get to practice them, okay? So, great, cool. Now we're going to talk a little bit about time signatures, okay? Time signatures are what gives a song its beat, okay? There's a term that's called 4 on the floor, and basically it refers to dance music that most of the time is going to be on 4x4, or 4 beats per measure. Because, it's one of the best beats to dance to, but it doesn't mean that the waltz that people danced in the olden days isn't a nice beat to dance to. But that was a 3x4 beat, which is a little bit different, but we're going to be diving into that, and we're going to be checking out some examples as well. Okay, so there are many other types that are worth discovering because they can create interesting types of beats and signatures, okay? Basically, at the beginning of every piece and at the beginning of every staff, here we've got our time signature, okay? There's a number on the top and a number below. Now let's understand a little bit of what is that all about. Okay, there's a bottom number and a top number, okay? So the top number tells us the number of beats in each measure. And the bottom number basically tells you what note values those beats are. Okay, so if the bottom number is a 4, it's going to be quarter notes. Okay, so that means that if the beat is 4/4, we've got 4 quarter notes per beat. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 quarter notes per beat. Okay, so if the bottom number is 2, it means that the note value is half notes, okay? So that means that if the top number is 2 and the bottom number is 2, I've got 2 half notes per beat, okay? So if the bottom number is 8, for example, it means that the beats are in eighth notes, okay? We're going to dive into that and check a little bit of examples of how these beats sound, okay? So basically, if the bottom number is 2, you've got half beats. And depending on the number we've got above, it's that number of half beats. If the bottom number is 4, we've got quarter beats. And if the bottom number is 8, we've got eighth beats. It's that simple, dudes. So no worries over there. So basically, a 4x4 time signature means that there are 4 beats in each measure, and a quarter note receives 1 count, 1 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? 2/4 means that there are 2 beats in each measure, and a quarter note receives 1 count. Okay, so this 2/4 means that it's really used in marching tempos, like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's very marching tempo time signature. Okay, 2/2 means that there are 2 beats in each measure, and a half note receives 1 count. 6/8 means that there are 6 beats in each measure, and an eighth note receives 1 count. Okay, now we're going to check that out in a little bit of a while. Okay, so let's check out this Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Let's check out some very simple examples over here. Okay, so let's check out this little staff over here. I'm going to check out the piano so you can see what's going on. And let's check that out a little closer as well. And here's the sound so you can understand what's going on with this Twinkle Twinkle. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you have it. Half note lasts 2 beats. It's pretty simple. Okay. You know, this key, this time signature is so common, it is even symbolized by a C, which means common time signature. It's the most used ever. So if you see a C in a staff, it means that you're reading a 4/4 tempo time signature. Okay. Now, this one we're going to talk about is 2/2, also known as cut time. It's very common, and it's basically a 4/4 beat cut in 2. So each measure consists of 2 half notes, okay? So basically a 2/2 time signature means that I've got 2 whole notes. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That is that measure. So this means that the stronger accent is on the 3rd beat of each measure, or the 2nd half note. Cool. Okay, here we've got the 2/4, which I was talking to you about a while ago, that is basically very common for marches. Okay, so we've got 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's a very upbeat kind of signature. Okay, now I've got 3/4. Okay, let's check out this little example. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Pretty simple. Okay, I want you to see this staff so you can understand how this is flowing. So here you've got it on 3/4. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Cool. There you've got an example of a 3/4 time signature. Okay, now let's check out some examples of some different time signatures, because we've got some really crazy ones, and you never know. If you're going to start staff reading, it's good for you to check out and understand how different time signatures sound like. For example, let's check out a 4/4. This is Ode to Joy. And let's check out this continuous and 400%. This is 4/4. Let's check it out. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Piece of cake, right? Now let's check out another time signature. Okay, here we've got a 2x2 example. No. Metronome so you can understand. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. See, check it out. This whole note lasts 2 beats on this type of time signature. Great. Now let's check out another one. This is a 6x8. Okay, let's check this out. Cool. We're going to be talking about this in a little bit while, but we're going to first we have to understand major and minor scales, but let's concentrate on the beat. 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's check out again. So that means we've got 6 eighth notes per bar. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you start understanding how to count all these crazy times, okay? Let's check out another 6x8 example, which is a tarantella napolitana, which we're going to be using a lot of Italian on this course because, you know, all music, staff languages has a lot of Italian. Doesn't mean you have to become an Italian to understand this, but it is going to help to understand the terms, okay? So let's check out this 6x8. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Oh, check it out. Here we've got a change of tempo, and here it goes in 3x8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here you can start understanding what all these ligatures do, right? Over here, and what these slurs and ties start doing, okay? Great. Let's check out another song, another time signature. Okay, here we've got a 9x8. Let's see. Don't get scared when you see all these big staffs. It's all good. It's not so complicated. It's not as complicated as it seems. Okay, let's check. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This one is a little bit more complicated to count, but still pretty cool. Okay, let's check out another one. This is Mozart. Okay, this is called Lacrimosa. Continues 400%. Let's check this out. 12. So 12 eighth notes per bar. Understand? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There you have it. That is 12x8, which means 12 eighth notes. Okay, let's check out another one. Let's check out this Take 5, which is called Take 5 because the tempo is indeed in 5x4. Okay, let's check it out. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty simple. It's not as complicated as you think. Okay? Let's check out another strange beat over here. This is money. So let's check out this 7/4 beat. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 fourth notes per beat, per bar. Okay? That's pretty cool. Okay, let's check out this other one, which is 7/4. 2, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pretty simple. Okay, so I'm done with the examples. I think we're pretty clear with time signatures, so let's keep on understanding what is going on with the staff symbols. Okay, so this is very important because it's going to help you understand all these strange symbols you were seeing in these staffs. Okay, so here we've got our first symbol, which is the accent, okay, which is a little V we've got sideways, and it's almost all the time on the top or the bottom of the head of a note. And basically, it means that you have to stress the intensity in which you're playing the note, which is very important. So this is a very soft intensity, and accent means you gotta play it louder and harder, okay? An arpeggio. Okay, so here we've got a little bit of an arpeggio, which is basically what we're gonna do. Sometimes you've got a chord, which sounds like this, but this is an arpeggio, which is different. That's how an arpeggio sounds. So you don't have your 3 notes at the same time, but you're going to play them in a succession. That is an arpeggio, okay? So the motion is a little bit different, okay? And it's different than doing a melody, which you would do like this, because you're going to find them apart. An arpeggio is a lot faster. Okay, it's a sweeping motion of the notes. Okay, this is a very important one, which is the bar, which separates our bars. We already learned about our time signatures, and each bar has a specific number of notes, which has a specific number of duration depending on the time signature, but they always have the measure of a bar, okay? And this vertical bar is going to mark us where we're going to start the following bar. The brace. This brace is very important for what we're doing on the piano, because as I explained to you guys, a grand staff has both the bass and the treble clef, right? In these two divisions right here, right? So it's very important for you to understand that this brace is basically meant to symbolize that you have to play both hands at the same time. Here is a breath mark. It's basically like a coma symbol, and it's used between notes to indicate where wind players or choir singers have to take a breath between passages and take a little bit of a breather before you continue doing your interpretation. Great. Here we're going into our Italian. So this is called a cesura, okay? Cesura marking indicates a break or stop in playing. So basically, here the conductor usually decides when to bring the ensemble back in. So when a group of musicians see a cesura, usually the director is going to go like this. Then he's going to take a little bit of a breather, and we're going all back in. Okay? And that's what a cesura means. Right. Here we have our chord numerals. Okay, and here we have Roman numerals, and we are going to have some that are in lowercase and some that are in uppercase. Okay, and all depends on the scale. And it's all about the chords. And here you can see that these are chords because you have one note over the other. When you have chords, one note over the other means you have to play them at the same time. Because they don't have that arpeggio symbol, right? And when you have one note after another, then you play one note, one note, one note. But when you have them stacked one over the other, and you do them all at the same time. Lowercase and uppercase numerals are meant to indicate which notes are dominant or subdominant, which usually are the fourth or fifth. And we're going to dive into that when we start seeing scales, major and minor scales. Okay, here we're going to go a little bit more specifically into the clef symbols, okay? Basically, they're all used at the beginning of every piece of sheet music, and they indicate the note value of each line or space on the staff. Okay, there are many clefs in music, but the most common are the treble and bass clefs, which we've got here in our grand staff in the piano, okay? This one, as I told you earlier, is also called the G clef. I already explained to you guys why, because it starts on the second line, which indicates that that note is G, okay? Here we've got our soprano clef, mezzo-soprano clef, alto clef, tenor clef, baritone clef, bass clef, which is the one we've got from this B on downward, and our sub-bass clef, which is even lower. Cool. Here we've got the coda, okay? This serves as a reference point in a piece of music, okay? For example, when the instruction is to coda, when you see the instruction to coda, you're expected to continue playing from where the coda symbol is located on the sheet. Okay? It's denoted by a circle with a little cross through it. Okay? So that means you got to start right there. Okay, here we've got a crescendo. Okay, crescendo means you got to start playing really softly. And you start getting louder and you start increasing your volume gradually. And that is what the crescendo means. Okay, this is the da capo symbol. This one we've got right here. This kind of little tent with a little point in the middle. Basically, it's an instruction given on a piece of sheet music to restart playing the piece from the very beginning. So you have always the symbol, and you've got DC, which means da capo, okay? If not, basically you've got that symbol, or you just got the DC, and you understand that you have to start all over again from the beginning. Okay, here is dal segno, which is similar to dal capo, but dal segno instructs the player to resume playing from a sign symbol found elsewhere in the piece. It's usually written as the initials DS. And we're going to find in a little bit what that symbol looks like. Okay, this is a damp symbol. It's got nothing to do with politics, please. But basically, this is a symbol with an X through it, and it basically tells timpani players or symphonic drums to mute their drums. Okay? Put their hand over the drum to silence it. we also have a decrescendo symbol right here. Okay, and this basically symbolizes that I have to start playing pretty loud and start going softer. Okay, so I start really loud and start decrescendoing. How do you like that? Okay, this is double flat symbol, okay? So remember, for example, if I've got a C double flat, so here I've got my middle C, C flat would be B, so C double flat would be the same as B flat, and that's another enharmonic. So B flat is equivalent to C double flat. Or for example, let's check it out from A. Okay, so if I use A flat, here I've got it, and A double flat is the same as G, but it's called A double flat. Another enharmonic. This is all about grammar, okay? And it depends a lot on which scale I'm playing on. Here I've got my double sharp, okay? The same as I've got a double flat, I also have a double sharp. So for example, I've got C, I've got C sharp, and I've got C double sharp, which is another enharmonic of D. Okay, it's a synonym. It's exactly the same note, but because of grammar questions, sometimes I have to use a double sharp if I want to do an alteration on a note. For example, if I've got E, E sharp is an enharmonic of F, and E double sharp is an enharmonic of F sharp. They're the same note, but again, depending on the scale, grammar tells us to name it a double sharp, depending on the scale we're playing in. So here we've got something that's pretty important too, which is called dynamic notation, okay? So dynamics are noted in music with letters for P. So here we've got a P, which is piano. And piano means soft. So if I'm going to play a chord and I'm going to play piano, it's okay. And there is also pianissimo, which is two P's, which is even softer. I've got forte, which is loud. I've got fortissimo, which is very loud. I've got mezzo piano, which is medium soft. Got mezzo forte, which is medium loud. And I've got crescendo, which is gradually louder, right? So, and I've got diminuendo, which is gradually softer. Okay, I think that's clear. Okay, this is called a fermata. Fermata is a music symbol used to indicate that a note should be held until given a cue from the conductor to continue playing. So, I remain here. The conductor tells me, stay still, and here we go. And then I continue playing my piece of music. Great. Fortepiano. Fortepiano music symbol tells a player to abruptly shift from a loud dynamic to a quiet dynamic. So I'm coming from something which is really loud. Then I go really soft. And that happens when I find this symbol. Great, this is G clef ottava alta, which indicates a G clef, but it means that all notes are one octave higher. Okay, this is a MIDI keyboard, and MIDI keyboards are pretty cool because I can up an octave, I can increase an octave right here with this button. So if I find this G clef ottava alta, I can just upper my octave, and there I have it. Okay, this is ottava alta. Great. And I also have a G clef ottava bassa, which is an octave lower. And again, thank you, MIDI keyboard. Octave lower, right? Central C, middle C, C ottava bassa, There, I got it. Okay, now here I've got a glissando. Okay, glissando means I've got to move from one note to the other. Right, I've got to do a succession of notes ascending or descending from one note to another. So here I've got a glissando from C to G. Or I can do a glissando from G to C. That's what a glissando is, okay? Hemiolas. Okay, we're going to be talking about this when we're doing a little bit more of the specifics of rhythm exercises. And hemiolas tell us about different types of figures like triplets. Okay, when you find a triplet, for example, a fourth note triplet would be you have 3 fourth note triplets per each fourth note. For example, I'm going to count meter here. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That is a fourth note triplet. Great. This is called a multi-rest, okay? And this indicates that the player should rest for the number of bars that appear on the number, okay? So if I find this, it means I've got to be 15 bars like this. Or maybe I can eat a sandwich, drink a little bit of a cup of tea, or some coffee, or some water, or whatever you like, for 15 bars. Great, and this symbol is pretty important because it indicates when a piece of music ends. So when you've got this double bar, it means that the piece of music is finito, done, finale. Great. This is another important symbol that means repetition. So when I've got this symbol, it means that I've got to repeat those bars the number of times that's specified. Normally, you see the repeat for the number of times you have to do it, okay? So basically, on the left, you've got the first symbol of repetition, and on the right, you've got the right symbol of repetition, and that is basically a loop. So you're going to loop that part. Segno. Okay, this segno means where a player resumes playing after passing the dal segno instruction. Remember, we already passed that. This is the symbol that means you've got to resume playing. Great. Here we've got a simile, which in sheet music indicates that a player should repeat what's written on the previous bar. It's very similar to the repetition, but it's a different way of indicating that repetition of a section on the song. Okay, a staccato. It means that you should play the note shorter and more abbreviated than its typical value. So if I'm counting meter here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be a C, kind of like this, and 1, right? But if I find a staccato, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. See? So it basically has a shorter duration, and that's what staccato means. Great, and here I've got kind of the opposite symbol, which means tenuto. And tenuto tells the player to sustain the note to its absolute maximum. Okay, tenuto notes should leave as little space as possible between them. So let's say I've got this succession of notes of C, E, and G, right? So if I've got tenuto, I've got to be careful to almost tie those notes together and, have them as long as I can. Great. Tremolo. This indicates that you should play the notes in a rapidly repeating way to create a tremolo effect. So here you've got a tremolo. Or instead of writing, 18th notes, 24th notes, you've got a tremolo. It's a lot easier to symbolize. Let's check out the next symbol we have over here, which is called a trill. Okay, basically it instructs us to oscillate between two chromatic notes very quickly. Okay, it's kind of like the tremolo, but not doing the same note, but doing two notes which are chromatically neighbors. It could be like here. That would be a trill, or here. Or I could do a trill from B. Basically like that. That is a trill. And the volta brackets. These basically indicate us to play an alternative ending section after a repeat. So after we're repeating a section that it is between a repeat or a loop, we got to go to the next number we have in the volta brackets. And, you know, that is kind of all the generality of symbols. Those are the most important symbols we have on the staff reading. So I hope you enjoyed and you understand a little better all the symbols that are involved in a staff, so we can start understanding a little bit better how all this staff reading works.
Hey there! Congratulations on completing this free 1-hour Reading Music Essentials course. It's a pretty great achievement and I hope that you have enjoyed it. You are now ready to get started on your music reading journey. If you would like to uncover all the hidden tips and tricks of reading music and applying it to different instruments, head over to skillademia.com. The Beginner to Advanced course consists of many more hours of exercises, lectures, and projects to complete, which will turn you into a pro in no time. You'll be able to learn the fundamentals of reading music, everything you need to know about music theory, practice on rhythm and melody, and develop your skills through many exercises. So if this sounds like the course for you, go check it out. Thank you for watching and see you soon.